Picture someone who only laughs loudly when others are around, who only tells the story of their success when there's a room to hear it, who recounts the same achievement 3 different times to 3 different groups in a single evening. Alone, in the quiet of their own home, with no one left to perform for, something changes. The volume drops. The energy fades. Nietzsche had a name for this kind of hunger. He called it a hollow will to power, a strength that doesn't actually live inside the person, but exists only in the eyes of whoever happens to be watching them at the time. 1. The difference between power and performance. Real power, Nietzsche argued, doesn't need permission or applause to exist. It simply is, the way a mountain doesn't need an audience to remain a mountain. But a fragile ego works differently. It requires constant, repeated proof that it exists at all, and that proof can only ever come from outside, from reactions, from praise, from comparison to people who seem to be doing worse. Without that external mirror, the fragile ego starts to doubt its own reality. 2. Why narcissists collect an audience, not a connection. Watch closely over time and you'll notice something uncomfortable about the people who orbit a narcissist. They're rarely treated as individuals with their own complicated inner lives. They're treated as mirrors, positioned carefully around the room to reflect greatness back at exactly the right angle. Their job, whether anyone says it out loud or not, is to admire, not to be truly known, not to be asked how their own week went. 3. What happens when the audience leaves? This is the part almost nobody outside the relationship ever sees. Behind closed doors, away from any witness, narcissistic confidence often collapses into something far smaller and more fragile than the public performance suggested. Anxiety about being forgotten, a hollow emptiness when no one is reacting, a restless, often exhausting search for the next source of validation to refill what just drained out. 4. Why criticism feels like an attack on their existence. For someone whose sense of self depends almost entirely on external approval, a single piece of criticism doesn't register as ordinary feedback. It registers as a threat to the entire structure they've built their identity on. That's why even gentle, well-intentioned feedback can trigger a reaction wildly out of proportion to what was actually said. Because in their mind, you haven't just questioned a decision, you've questioned whether the performance is convincing anyone at all. 5. How to spot it before you're pulled too far in. Ask yourself a simple question the next time you're with someone like this. Does this person seem genuinely interested in me, or only interested in my reaction to them? Do conversations, no matter where they begin, eventually circle back around to their achievements, their struggles, their story? These are quiet, easy-to-miss signals of a need that fundamentally has very little to do with you as a person. 6. Nietzsche's warning about borrowed strength. He believed that a person who needs an audience in order to feel powerful has not yet discovered real strength, only its shadow, a convincing imitation that requires constant maintenance. True strength, he wrote, tends to be quiet. It doesn't announce itself, it doesn't require witnesses, and it doesn't collapse the moment no one is paying attention. It simply continues, whether anyone is watching or not. 7. The cost of being someone else's mirror. If you've spent time in this role, you may already recognize the particular exhaustion it brings. The sense that your presence is welcome only when you're reflecting something flattering back, and that any honesty, any need of your own, disrupts the performance. That exhaustion is real, and it's not a sign that you're being too sensitive. It's a sign that the relationship has been organized around one person's need to be witnessed, not around mutual connection. 7.5. Why this is harder with people who occasionally show you kindness. Pure cruelty is easy to detach from. What makes narcissistic dynamics so disorienting is the unpredictable warmth mixed in. The rare good day, the genuine compliment, the moment they seem to actually see you. Those moments aren't evidence that the pattern has changed. They're often what keeps the audience in their seats, waiting for an encore that rarely repeats. 8. The final thought. The next time you meet someone whose entire energy seems to depend on whether you're watching them, remember that this isn't really about you, and it was never meant to be solved by you. It's a window into a person still searching, often desperately, for proof that they exist independent of anyone's gaze. You are not obligated to be that proof, and stepping back from the role of audience is not cruelty. It's simply refusing to keep performing a part in someone else's unfinished story.